Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today we are going to finish up this wonderful page. I have gone through and I have blended the background color, so I did blend the purple. We're going to finish up the filigrees and then we'll do some accenting as well. Alright, so let's get started with the filigrees. We're going to be using as soon as I can move things off of here. We're going to be using our Neocolor ones. These are a wax pastel, and we're going to start with the ochre. And we're just going to lay that down where we want that medium tone to be. We're going to make these look golden. And hopefully the blender where it went over doesn't cause too much interruption in the color. So I'm going to actually bring you down a little bit so that you can actually see what I'm doing a little bit better. So let's draw you in and fix our, there we go. There we go. Alright, so we're going to just continue with this. We've got some liquid pearls that are going to go on here, as well as some gel, well, not gel pen, it's actually a dual metallic, a Pentel dual metallic that we're going to be using on the laces and stuff like that, just to give them a little bit of glint and make things shiny. Because, you know, shiny, we gotta have some shiny. I was hoping to get this done a little bit sooner, but I might have a new job. So the other one, I still have no login ability and that sort of thing. So this new one that I have been contacted about is an actual in-person, in-office type of job. So there won't be as much ability for me to work around the channel as an at-home job. But at least I know that I'm going to get paid, which is always fun. So yeah, we will see how that goes and what the schedule is and that sort of thing. Of course, the channel will have to work around my work schedule. So, you know, it may be a couple of weeks where I'm doing too much at work because I do have training and stuff like that that I have to go through. So I may have times where I'm doing too much at work and I can't do my videos. So bear with me while I get into a groove if I get this job. My fingers are crossed. So far, I've had some good feedback, so hopefully that will be a good thing. I am very, very optimistic. I'm kind of really excited because I haven't been in an office situation in quite some time, so I'm a little nervous and a little excited all at the same time. So moving up the filigrees here, filling in the areas with the medium ochre color. And then we'll come back through with the darker color as well. And we'll blend them all together. And that will be what we have for coloring part. Again, this is the Neocolor 1s, not the Neocolor 2s. The Neocolor 2s are a water activated medium. These are not water activated. They are a wax based pastel or a crayon basically. You can do this technique with your Crayola crayons, your Sakura, um, what are they called? The Sakura crayons that I just reviewed recently, or the Neocolor 2s. I haven't tried it on any really inexpensive crayons, such as the Rose Art or you know, the smaller crayon sets that you get as a child. But I have tried it all with the Crayolas, and it does work quite well with them. All right, now we're going to add a little bit of this one, which is burnt sienna. And I'm going to actually sharpen this. I did find the sharpener that I was looking for, and I'm going to sharpen this down a little bit so that I have a good point. Now you can keep your sharpenings and use them with your finger. I just don't. I do the same thing with my my chalk pastel, my soft pastel pencils as well. I say that you can keep them, and I say that I might, and then I never do. And, you know, it's just one of those things. But you can definitely sharpen these down to a sharper point. You just have to find a sharpener that is big enough to take the crayon in, and that you can work that tool to cut the point. You can also use a knife. I don't use a knife because knives scare me. I prefer to have all my fingers. I'm fine with cutting away from me and onto, you know, paper and that sort of thing. Softer objects such as crayons and that just worry me too much, so I just use a sharpener. I have specific ones that I use just for sharpening the crayons and the oil or the wax-based things. I also have a sharpener that I use for the oil-based and a sharpener I use for the chalk-based as well. So those softer pastel pencils. I don't tend to mix those sharpeners because when you do, it gums them up a little bit. Like a oil pastel is going to gum up a sharpener a little bit quicker than a chalk pastel or a wax pastel. So I tend to not use the same sharpener for those. And of course, all of the pastels and crayon type things are going to gum up your sharpener for your colored pencils. So don't use the same sharpener that you would use for your colored pencils, because then it won't work as well for your colored pencils. So I'm just putting in some dark areas in the shadows and in the areas where I want that to look a little more antiqued. So such as over here where it's looking a little bit darker. And of course, once we put in or add the blending to it, it's going to change the color a little bit. It's going to get a little bit brighter. and a lot more solid. When you are putting down the crayon, make sure that you put down enough pigment that the blender can move. So even though you're going to still have some white spot, try to make sure that you have it as filled in as you want, so that when you cover it with or blend it with the blender, you have the ability to move that pigment into the white spot. If you don't have enough pigment, just the same with colored pencil, if you don't have enough pigment with the wax, you're not going to be able to completely move that pigment and fill in that white spot. So make sure that you remember to do that. All right. And after this one, so as you can see, I'm layering on top of the color. So I'm building that color up the same way I would if I was using a colored pencil. And then we're going to use our yellow, and we're going to use the lemon yellow. No, that's the wrong one. We're going to be using yellow. And again, I'm going to sharpen this because I just need it to be a little bit sharper. Sometimes you have to check and see if the sharpener has left any color behind from the previous sharpening. So if it's left some brown behind, because that's the one I just sharpened, make sure that you wipe that off. Otherwise, you're going to end up putting a little bit too much brown down, and you'll dampen the yellow color. Again, just filling in the entire area. You don't have to be extremely specific. You can leave some white spot, but if you are going to leave some white spot, make sure that, or even if you leave some white spot, make sure that other areas have enough pigmentation for you to move around. Now these are small areas, so I'm not having to put down a whole bunch, but in the main part where it's a little bit thicker, I did put down a second layer of that color just to cover up any large areas of the white and to build that color up and make it nice and smooth. We're also going to be dealing with the glow of her staff, her cane, so we will be dealing with that as well. Take my brush and I'm going to brush this off. I've got a little bit of the sharpenings from the brown crayon on the page. I hope everybody is having a wonderful week. It is midweek, and you know, all of that stuff. Tomorrow is Thursday, so keep your eye out for Shannon from Color and Craft with Shani Blue. She will be streaming tomorrow. I hope that Emily's little one is feeling better soon. She did not stream today because of the little one being sick, so I hope she is feeling better soon. Little Emily, get better. I do believe it was little Emily that wasn't feeling well. One of the kids, anyway. Little Emily or little Steve. Somebody needs to just feel better so Mommy can do her streaming because we miss her. We don't like it when she don't stream. I like to be able to support as many of the streamers as I can, because without them, I wouldn't be here. They've taught me so much. This technique was taught to me by Shannon from Color and Craft with Shani Blue. So if you want to see this the way that she does it, you can look for a Karen Myers stream from I think it was a year ago, the Karen Myers colorathon that I did. And Shannon was a part of that, and she used crayon. Well, actually, I think she used the Neocolor ones, these exact same ones, and utilized them in this technique in her video. So again, if you want to see the way that she does it, make sure that you check that out. Now I did forget to put a little bit of that brown on there, so let's put a little tiny bit of that on there. Like so. And I think we need a little bit here as well. The great thing about these is that even after you blend, you can still add touch-ups. Alright, so we've got all the yellow down and all of the brown down. Now we're going to do our little parts here. So I'm going in with the gray. And this is just our highlight color. We'll be adding the black on top of that. Like so. All right. Now comes the boring part. After we get this on, we'll blend it and then we'll add the glow from Hurricane, and that should be it for the colored pencil areas. Just going to sharpen my blender here. What that does is it gives me a good sharp point, but it also cleans off any excess from the previous blending. Now my blender is really short, and I will still use them until they're no longer able to be held. And then I stick them in my extender, but sometimes they get too short even for the extender. So now I'm not going to go over the black yet. I'm just going to do all of the yellow areas first and get those blended. And then I'll go over the black because I don't want the black in the yellow. Don't want the black in the gold. And as you can see, it brightens it right up, makes it a nice golden color. Okay. So this is, like I said, this is going to be the boring part, watching me blend all these things together. But you guys said you wanted to see it, so that's what we're going to do. I at least blended the massive area so that you're not watching, 6 hours of me scrubbing the blender on the purple. Now I am pressing a little hard just to get that completely blended in. You don't have to press hard to blend it, but I want to burnish it as well. And cover up as much of that white as I can. I'm going to dust that off, make sure that I don't blend any colors in that shouldn't be there. Now, if, for example, if I wanted to, I could just very lightly blend this, and then I could go over it again and build that color up. Basically, all this is doing is just moving that pigment around and filling in the spaces. Now, if I put some pressure on it and move those colors together and fill in those spaces, it does burnish the page. You can still add a little bit of color to it, but the more color you add after burnishing, the less likely it is that you can actually blend those in. And you may find that it just scrapes it off. So be careful with that. If you find that you don't have enough color down and you want to add more color, just gently go over it, blend that in, add more color, blend it in. I think that the amount of color I have down is more than enough for what I want to do, so I'm not worried about burnishing it. So I'm pressing a little bit harder and getting those colors just to melt together. Like that. All right, then we're going to move up here and we're going to do the same thing. Now I was afraid of the Neo Color 2s and crayons basically until Shannon actually showed that you can do this with a blender pencil, Caran d'Ache blender stick. I do believe you can do it with any other blender as well. For example, this here is one of the Derwent blenders. And as you can see, I can still move that around with the Derwent blender. The only difference between the Derwent blender and the Caran d'Ache blender is that a Caran d'Ache is going to add that bit of wax to the wax crayon as well, and blend with the same base. So the same type of wax is being used to blend that instead of an oil-based blender. I do like to use the Derwent blender on Derwent's pencils as well as oil-based pencils because it does move the pigment a little bit better on an oil-based pencil. In my opinion, although sometimes my opinions are just my opinions. Um, these are just things that I find useful every once in a while to know. And I can't remember who I watched that told me, or that taught me. I can't say told me, but taught me that the blenders work for different things. I used to think that you had to have a blender for each set of pencils coming from that set of pencils, that other blenders wouldn't work for other pencils. And it wasn't until I watched a video on different blenders and different abilities of each blender that I was able to start experimenting with my blenders a little more. And that's all it is. It's just trial and error, experimentation, figuring out what works for you and what works for the style that you color, the way you color. Because if it doesn't work for the way you color, then it's not going to work for you. All right, now we're going to do the black area. And then we're going to come in and we're going to do the area for the glow around the orb. Now I've already put a little bit of colored pencil there, which has given us an area to work with. Now I'm going to wipe off the white and we're going to start bringing that glow out into the purple. Now I'm not going to blend this in with the blender unless I need it to smooth out. If I need it to smooth out, then I'll come in through with the blender itself and smooth it out on the edges. All right, and then we're going to take a little bit of a pink and then maybe a little bit more purple. Yeah, I'm going to need to use the blender to smooth this down a little bit more and blend them together. A little bit of this purple. We don't want too much of that purple because it's the background color. And then we're going to take our white again and blend that together. And as you can see, you can blend the colors with the white just as you can with a colored pencil. It just draws them down a little bit and smooths them out. Now you can also blend with your finger, bringing that harder line out and taking down some of that bright glossy glow of the wax. Like that. All right, and now we're just going to add a little bit of yellow here. Add a bit of black on there. Like so. Just to give it a little bit of glow. And just take my finger and blend that in. All right, so that is our glow. That is our background. Now we're going to add our gold for our laces. So we're going to start down here. This is a really fine brush. Now if you press too hard, of course it's going to be a thicker brush because it's very flexible. If you just want a very thin line, just use the very tip of the brush. But it has some spectacular glitter. Like so. And if you see the glitter there. We got the crayon rolling under it. We don't want the crayon rolling under it. And I'm just following the laces. Trying to make sure that my tip of my pen is not thicker than the lace, but still covers the whole lace. Now you can do this with a gel pen, absolutely. You do not need to go out and buy a new pen. If you have a gel pen, just use your gel pen. I just have this one available, so I wanted to use it. I'm going to go over the areas here and here, and then here as well. Make sure it sparkles. Like so. Alright, now in order not to put my hand into the gold area there, I'm going to fill this in here and here. Then we're going to also fill in this area in her necklace. Then giving all the gold metallic areas a little bit of that metallic glitter. Like so. And then we're going to do the same thing up here. No, we're not. No, we're not. All right, so there we have that. Now this part here is also metallic. So we're going to make sure that we get that metal with a bit of glitter. Same with down here. Like so. All right, so that is the glittery parts. Now we're going to do the beads on all of the outline on the background here. And we're going to actually use an accenting color. Now this color is in there on her cheeks, on her lips, that sort of thing, but it's not really anywhere else. So it's just going to pop that color just a little bit. I should have primed this beforehand, but it's all right. Now, if you don't have the ability to squeeze for a long period of time, you can put the liquid pearl on a palette and pick it up with a tool and put it down that way. It works quite well. I do find that sometimes, especially if the nozzle is clogged at all, sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult to squeeze. And my nozzle is clogged just a little bit, so I'm going to grab just this which has a wax coating on it. There, that's better. It was clogged just a little bit, so it was not coming out as easily as it should. That's much nicer. Now, one of the ways you can tell if it's clogged is when you let go of the bottle. If it still stays compressed, that means that you have a bit of a clog and you need to just give it a really good squeeze. Yes, it's going to waste a little bit, but you can pick that up with a tool and still use it. If you want to. All right. And after I get this on, then we'll do the gold around the edge. I'm doing that last because I don't want to put my hand in it while doing the liquid pearl. Now the difficulty of that is the liquid pearl does run up beside it, and I could end up putting my hand in it. So I'm hoping I don't. There we go. So that is all the liquid pearl, giving us our lovely red burgundy color on our beads. Now we're going to take our gold again, and we're just going to very carefully fill this in around the edge. Try not to put my hand in the liquid pearl. And once we do this part, she will be finished. All right. Now the one thing with these Pentel markers is you can see where where the ink is and how much ink is going to be coming down the brush. You can also pump more ink in if you need to, but I have not had to pump more ink in since I activated the brush, so it's been pretty good. Sorry about all the turning. Trying to literally not stick my hand in things because I will make a mess. And just like with any other tool, that you're not constantly getting wet or, that sort of thing. You gotta go through and rearrange your positioning so that you get that sharp point on the tip, because you can end up flattening the tip just with your motions. So make sure that if the tip starts getting too wide or too flat, that you just give it a turn and start working it the other way. Try to do it all in one go if you can. I cannot, obviously. My hand wiggles, just ends up all over if I'm not careful. Or I end up with big white lines through things. Now we're going to come down past the liquid pearl here in just a second. We did okay on the other side, so I think we'll be all right. And then I'll zoom you out so that you can see the entire page in all its messy glory. Now I will admit something. The purple for the background was not the color I wanted to do the background. My brain said purple, and even though I didn't want to do it purple, we ended up doing it purple. See, what I wanted to do was the background, I wanted to be the same color as the pearls that I've put down, and then the pearls I was going to do in purple. However, that is not the way that my brain went that day, and it just said, nope, we're doing purple. So purple it was. So I'm going to zoom you back out so that you can see the full glory of our page. Got the liquid pearls on there, giving it some dimension on the pearl chains, beads. And then, of course, we've got our glitter on her mechanics of it. All right, so that is our Steampunk Darling from Hannah Lynn. The reason for the month of Hannah Lynn is to help her out in her legal battles with the Diamond Art Club. So make sure that if you do color with us, you add that hashtag of Help Hannah Lynn, and hopefully she'll be able to see that the community is supporting her and is behind her. With that, I would like to say thank you all very much for watching. Of course, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And of course, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Until next time, bye-bye for now.